That's good. We're just so relaxed here. It's okay. The mic is hot. Yeah, okay. Well, we're ready here. We are. I'm so glad you're listening. This is Dr. Hancock. We are here 9 o'clock following the amazing John Rust show and following me, Drive Time AZ, following them, Ion Prescott, and that's where you should be Saturday morning. So thanks for being here. You could be anywhere, and I'd rather listen to you than listen to me. So there's your invite. Give me a call, 928-541-1016. Put in your speed dial because the whole morning, this Saturday morning is, man, calls. Actually, they probably don't take calls on drive time. I mean, on I Am Prescott, right? Because that's pre-recorded. Everything else, live. 928-541-1016. Dun, 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 dun. That's the name of that tune. So, holy cow, as usual, boatloads of stuff to talk about. See, we touched on some, I think, super important concepts on last week's show. We talked, and we're going to revisit that because I think that's worth emphasizing. So again, 928-541-1016. We got people calling already. I love it. Clinic number, if you want to get a hold of us there, 928-445-5607, 44-55-607. Dun, 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 dun. We're live streaming, kyca.info. There I am on camera. You can listen. You can watch. You can do push-ups. You can do whatever. So we're here for you. It's your show. I just kind of hang out. And Scott, right in front of me there's the man with a hat. And to my right is Andrew. So Scott gets your calls. He's already done it. I don't even have to tell you. Tom called. We're going to get to him in about 18 seconds. He called. Scott answers and says, hey, welcome to Healthline. Please turn your radios down and no speakerphone stuff. Speak right into your phone. Then he shifts it over to Andrew, and he pushes these magic buttons over here that looks like a NASA launching pad, and he makes it happen. So this mic is hot, and I get to sit down and talk. That's all I have to do. I mean, I like to surround myself with people smarter than me, and these guys are brilliant. They go bing, 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 and I just talk, and there it is. So Tom called, 928-541-1016. Tom, you're first on Healthline. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dr. Hancock. How are you?
Never better. Thanks for calling. What's up?
Sure. So this is a follow-up to a call I made into the show mid-March.
Okay.
And I called in because I had a compacted ulnar nerve in my left arm.
I remember that.
Yes, and I hadn't sought medical treatment yet, and you suggested that I go see a chiropractor.
Correct.
And so I had poor motion in my left elbow, and I was getting hand pain and elbow pain from the compacted ulnar nerve. So the chiropractor helped me out significantly with poor motion in the elbow and the hand pain. And so it's quite a bit better, and I'm currently in physical therapy. But I have this persistent problem with pain in the ring finger area and soreness in the elbow that just hasn't resolved. And I wondered if you had any suggestions for me.
I do, yeah. Depending on how much extremity work your chiropractor does, I'm sure, I don't remember all the details of your call, but I'm sure I brought up a condition called pisiform hamate syndrome, which directly impacts the ulnar nerve, which, by the way, for everybody else listening, you already know this, but you smack your elbow and your hand gets weird. That's hitting the, quote, funny bone, so-called, because the upper arm bone is called the humerus. So they say, wow, that's a funny bone. It's the ulnar nerve at the elbow that you're hitting that causes the tingling or whatever in the little finger and the little finger side of the ring finger. And see, the other half of the ring finger and then the middle finger, first finger, thumb, that's supplied by the median nerve. So if you have carpal tunnel syndrome, the median nerve is jacked. And if you have pisiform hamate syndrome, those are two bones in the wrist. They can shift position in two different ways. And if they do, then the ulnar nerve isn't working right, and then the little finger and the ring finger aren't happy. So the neurologic pathway that's best is make sure the neck is good, and then all the points between the neck and the hand, which would be, you got to look at the shoulder. What we do, we look at the shoulder, we look at the shoulder blade, we look at the acromioclavicular joint, we look at the elbow, we look at the hand, we look at the carpal tunnel, and we look at the pisiform hamate. So just ask your chiropractor and maybe he yes or no on that, but if you are able to get the pisiform hamate syndrome corrected, that directly impacts on the ability of the ulnar nerve, which does come from the neck. The brachial plexus is from the neck. And you said at the beginning of your call, you said you went to a chiropractor. All commercials aside, Prescott, if you don't have a good nerve supply to whatever the destination is not going to work right. Yeah, but I feel okay. Well, that's 6% of your nerves carry a pain signal. Go beyond that, because our health stinks in this country. We got to work harder. So, brachial plexus, that's a brief commercial message. So, brachial plexus, the neck all the way down to the fingertips has to be looked at, has to be working right for that side of your hand, the little finger, the karate chop part of the hand. That has to be lined up properly for all of those parts of the puzzle to work right and for you to feel better. Because you've had that for a long time now.
Yeah, since the end of January.
Yeah, that's too long. That's one of those things where, depending on what else is going on, you maybe start using your other hand more. Which hand is it, not that it matters. It's the same anatomy.
It's my left hand.
So are you right or left-handed?
Fortunately, right-handed.
Yeah, see, there you go. So your dominant hand is cooking, but nobody wants a deficit in their non-dominant hand or anything else. So I would ask your chiropractor, what about the pisiform hamate? I would go that route, because that's what we would do clinically, is just make sure all that's in proper alignment so the nerves are healing up and not compressed and all that kind of good stuff.
Well, that's all interesting to me, because when this happened, it was really located exclusively in my elbow, and I guess logically it's a little bit of a challenge for me to understand how it could be elsewhere than in the neck and the wrist. But I certainly believe you.
Well, see, that's why I get the big bucks, because I did really good in anatomy, and I'm guaranteeing you that the brachial plexus, which is the neck. That's the neck stuff. So the nerves go. It's like if you decide later today, Tom, to go to Phoenix, and I-17 is blocked because of the construction or an accident or the ubiquitous fire at Sunset Point. Every 8 minutes there's a fire there, and everything shuts down for 19 days. It's crazy. So if you're trying to get to Phoenix, I-17 is blocked. You're looking at, okay, there's a car right here, so I'm blocked right there. But if I-17 is blocked, you're not getting to Phoenix. So if the neck is out of alignment, and I'm sure your chiropractor looked at that, and the shoulder and the elbow, and the nerves have to be flowing all the way. So what is typical of everybody, it's not a deficit in your intellect. What's typical of everybody is they have a pain in their hand, so they are taught. And I'm not saying you have a pain; it's a different kind of a thing. Let's say you have a pain in your knee. Well, you're deficient in motion, and see, chiropractors are going to go, wait a minute, how's the quadricep? How's the hamstring? How's the tensor fasciae lata? How's the ankle? How's the knee? How's the hip? How's the lower back? We look at the big picture. So that's what I'm describing to you and our listeners. Because if you don't address all of that, well, you already said you're not quite 100%. You're not where you want to be. And you got to dig deeper to look at all of that stuff, by looking at all that stuff, to get the function higher.
Yeah, okay.
So that's your homework, just ask your chiropractor, say, hey, what about, because if they're doing the elbow stuff, they're probably doing extremity stuff. And therefore, the hand and the wrist and the pisiform hamate would probably be in the mix there. So that's what I do. Yeah, I just ask he or she for another look-see there and see what's going on. Oh, and here's another thing. What you don't want is carpal tunnel stuff. So the classic push-up position, palms down doing push-ups, not good. If you have a carpal tunnel problem, you can accentuate it by doing that. And I promise you, everybody listening, probably 20 times a day you get off a couch, you get out of your car, you put your palms down to move yourself, to get up from a chair or whatever. So you don't want to do that either, because mechanically that can stir up the carpal tunnel and you don't need anything else going on in there. So I hope that that gets you over the hump there, Tom. We want you to be at 100%.
Thank you. I will talk to my chiro.
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, because if he or she's working on the elbow, then the extremities aren't foreign to them. Some people just do the neck. You know, they aren't trained in extremities. But it sounds like the person that you're going to is well versed in extremities, so just ask for a little bit extra look-see at that. By the way, it's a little finger side. You can feel it. Everybody listening. Little finger side where the wrist bends, put your palm back so the back of your hand is towards your wrist, and there's a little bump on the little finger side. That's the pisiform, which means pea-like. So it's a little rounded bone. Everybody can feel that. And the bone right above it, distal, meaning towards the little finger, is the hamate. So it's pisiform hamate. They can shift. One can shift. The other can shift. Actually, typically the pisiform stays stable. The hamate bone can go towards your palm or away from the palm. And you test that. See, we do muscle testing. We find out where it's gone. Go the other way. If it's gone this way and that's wrong, we go the other way. So that's the pisiform. Can you feel that, Tom? Are you looking at that?
Yes, indeed. I am doing that right now.
Yeah, I am too. If you're watching on live stream, that's what I'm doing. It's like this little bumpy bone. It's just a round thing, and that's why it's called pisiform, because it feels like a pea. It's a big pea, but it's pea-like. That's what pisiform means. So that's the area. That's your huckleberry right there. Get that squared away, and that ulnar nerve is probably going to have full power all the way down to your fingertips, which is what you deserve.
All right. Great suggestions. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Great call, Tom. Keep me up to date. Yeah, I appreciate your follow-up on that, because that's just good. We're here to educate the public, and that's a great call. So you call anytime.
All right. Will do.
All right. Have a great weekend, sir.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. All right. Quick break. We're going to be right back. By the way, lest I forget, happy Mother's Day tomorrow to all you mothers. Just a big day. Mothers are pretty important. Studies show if it wasn't for mothers, we'd have dead air right now. We wouldn't have a radio. We wouldn't do anything, right? It's like we're done. So anyway, 928-541-1016. That'll get you here. We'll be right back. We're back. Dr. Hancock here. Thanks so much for being out there. Again, happy Mother's Day, mañana. So we touched on this. By the way, okay, I got to do this. Last week we reviewed history, right? 1622. A pretty smart guy said, I think we need sour lemons on these boats so that the people don't die. We don't know why, but, they didn't identify scurvy or the vitamin C deficiency causing scurvy. So about 150 years later, they go, okay, we're going to put some lime, and that's why, or lemons. That's why the British sailors are called limeys. So we talked about that, and I'll refer back to that. And we also talked about the Peshtigo fire. By just about any measurement, 1.28 million acres of timberland destroyed, 2,200 people killed. Chicago fire, 300 killed, 17,000 buildings destroyed. You can do whatever you want to balance 1.28 million acres of timberland and 17,000 structures, but there's no debate on 300 dead versus 2,200 dead. That was the case in the Peshtigo fire. Happened the same night. So the context last week was, okay, you didn't hear about statistically, people just don't know about the Peshtigo fire. Why? Not because they're dumb. Nobody told them. Chicago, big newsy area, big city, right? Peshtigo. I don't know where Peshtigo is. I mean, seriously, But because you weren't told, does that mean it didn't happen? Nope. So you have, in healthcare, you weren't told the truth. And you also have, we know the truth, but we're not going to do anything for a while. Because everybody knows RFK Jr.'s digging into these artificial coloring things. They said, okay, red dye, horse manure. It's so crappy, so poorly retained or affected in the human body. You'd think yesterday, no, not till 2026. So you get frustrated. I get frustrated. It's like, we know this is bad, but we're not going to really act too soon. Now, better than waiting 150 years. I get that. So the categories are, you're not told the truth, i.e. flu shots are crap. Study done. I can repeat this because we have people dropping in and then going out and pulling weeds. 53,000 people at the Cleveland Clinic. The people that got the seasonal flu vaccine this year. This was a January or February study, I think. The ones that got the flu shot, 27% more likely to get the flu. Oh. So the context is, okay, you wait 150 years before you put some vitamin C fruit on a ship? What is up with that? You got red dye that's been proven to be crap. RFK Jr. said, fluoridated water reduces the IQ in kids. How many times have I talked about that over the years? In Europe, they ban that crap. It's typically banned. Not here. We're 40th out of 40 industrialized nation at $4.5 to $4.8 trillion. So anyway, what's the point? The point is normalcy bias. We've always done fluoridated water. About 60, maybe 2/3 of the country, fluoridated water. I don't know if Prescott has it or not. We have our own well. It's not fluoridated. So normalcy bias is we're so used to X that we can't understand or we ignore or we just don't believe why. And that concept really came up on 9/11 because people saw the towers fall and they thought, there's no way. That did not happen. That's so foreign to our belief system. 1622, put some sour lemons on the boats. So normalcy bias prevents you from going, bam. So I'm here to plead with you. If it's valid. See, Davy Crockett said, be sure you're right, then go ahead. If the preponderance of evidence says vaccines can be a little iffy, Casey Means, who, by the way, has been nominated for Surgeon General. Do yourself a favor. Listen to Tucker Carlson interviewing Casey, the sister, and Callie, the brother, Means. Casey and Callie Means. That'll turn your brain around because she was a Stanford-trained surgeon that looked at what's going on in the healthcare world and said, "This is horse manure." My words. This doesn't make any sense. This is a wake-up call. She said, "I can't do this anymore. We're not getting people well. We're postponing their death by bombing them with pharmaceuticals." She said there are 20 shots given to kids before they're 18 months old. So, nominated for Surgeon General. I'm on board with that because you can't keep doing the same things and expect a different result. So listen to Casey and Callie Means interviewed, probably on YouTube somewhere, of, with Tucker Carlson. So don't wait for all the evidence and 10 years and 12 years later and now, okay, maybe I won't get a flu shot. You decide. I don't put people on drugs or take them off drugs. I don't tell people to get a shot or not get a shot. I will never take a statin drug. I will never get a vaccine, COVID, seasonal flu. It's not going to happen to me. That's my opinion. You decide what you want to do. But if we keep doing the same things, and then we have preponderance of evidence that says, fluoridated water, lower IQ. Fluoridated water, more hip fractures. Yeah, but it's supposed to. I'm telling you, normalcy bias will keep you thinking that. It's cutting off the ends of the ham at Easter, right? It's like, well, why do you do that? Well, because mom did it. Why'd she do it? Well, grandma did it. Why'd she do it? Well, the pan was too small. If there's no logical explanation other than we've always done it, and you can't see beyond that, that's normalcy bias. That's a psychological concept. We all have it. I mean, I'm not saying that it's irrational. I'm just saying if you get a bunch of evidence saying X, Y, and Z, you may want to jump. You may want to say, well, maybe it's not a good idea to give 20 shots to 18-month-old kids, including 10 at 6 months. 10 at 6 months. Not my study. So anyway, let's take a break. I keep teasing that, not on purpose, but what causes more than 330,000 deaths a year? Speaking of, could we get healthy in a natural way with the Lord's help? When we come back, we'll talk about it. 928-541-1016. Dr. Hancock here. Thanks for being there. We'll be right back. we're back. 928-541-1016. Clinic number 445-567-4455-607. Thanks for listening. We sure appreciate it. So, do we keep doing the same things and expect something different? Nope. You people are too savvy for that. 338,240 deaths every stinking year. 2.2 million new type 2 diabetes cases. By the way, 95% of diabetes is done by you. It's type 2. You ate junk. You didn't work out. Both are bad ideas. How do you get out of that? You better eat good and work out. That's the solution. What's the deal? Sugary drinks. I'm telling you, next month it'll be 45 years I've been in practice. Oh, we have a caller. So the hardest I work, to finish that thought, is convincing people, because I put it in writing. All chiropractic patients, I tell them, you get rid of sugar, coffee, artificial sweeteners, you'll do better. You'll need me less. You'll save money on all your doctor visits. And if people get well and they're doing that, I don't say a word. If they don't get well, I remind them. It's like I can verbalize it. I put it in writing. What you want to do. What you going to do. So sugar, sugar, sugar. The worst one's coffee. Oh, people are addicted to coffee, and it's like the Taliban. You think they're tough? People that are coffee drinkers, I say, you may do better without coffee. They start, they come at me with a sword and a hand grenade and an AK-47. They go, I'm not quitting coffee. I go, okay. You heard it here. I only have a master's in flipping nutrition. I'm not going to lead you astray. A business model that's horrible is tell your patients how to get better and you don't need them. They don't need me anymore. A good business model wouldn't be sufficient for my conscience, my brain, my training, and my philosophy. Yeah, let's tell everybody to do this. It's like we're going to tell everybody to do the wrong thing, and then you get the, big pharma. We're just going to keep drugging these kids and shots and pills, and and Casey Means said, I'm done. I'm out of here. Anyway, 928-541-1016. Scott, good to hear from you, sir. What's cooking?
Well, I took your advice and quit coffee.
What a man. You're still breathing and talking. Look at you. You survived it. So did you notice anything different? Any upside, downside, anything? Headaches sometimes?
I expected to be, all bugged about it and everything. But it didn't have any mental effect on me at all. No cravings, or it was kind of weird, because the only thing I really know is the time thing. The time that you are drinking coffee, you got to do something else with that time now.
Brilliant. That is so smart. That's called social scrambling. And stay on the line, because I want to tell this quick story while you're here. I'll take the occasion of your call, Scott. Years ago, Jerry Lewis was hosting The Tonight Show. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember Johnny Carson, The Tonight Show, and all that stuff. So that's when you could smoke on camera. So he lit a cigarette, and he's talking to a guest, and he lit another cigarette. He says, look at this. He even made fun of himself. He says, I'm so used to doing this. He lit up 2 cigarettes. So the concept of social scrambling is, if you wake up in the morning, you have coffee and a cigarette, and the coffee leads to the cigarette, or the cigarette leads to the coffee, go for a walk, do 20 push-ups, do something differently. That is brilliant, Scott. I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is key. If you do the same old, you're going to get the same old. So you continue, sir. That's a really good point.
Well, just one other thing too.
Sure.
The money aspect of it. You spend less money.
Another great point, because I think when I was growing up, a carton of cigarettes, I think a pack was like 20 cents and a carton was like $2 or something. And I don't know, what's a pack of cigarettes? Somebody call in. It's what, $4, $5? I don't know. But see, if you quit that, ka-ching, it's money in the bank and not smacking your lungs. So yeah, I don't drink coffee. I don't know how much it is, but some people say, well, it's alkaline, whatever. Well, if you don't test well on it, you choose whether to get rid of it or not. I just do what the muscle testing says, and clinically, it doesn't test good, hardly ever. So yeah, so you're saving money and you change your routine a little bit and you're surviving it. Brilliant, Scott.
It's if anyone wants to do it, it's really not a big deal. It's I don't know. I thought I did more repercussions, but I did it.
That's you've done so many things. I love your calls because you've upped your working out, you're doing the push-up bars, and you're doing the coffee avoidance. And remember, I talked about it. The number one in a huge study of Alameda County, California, number one cause of hemorrhoids is coffee. It's like, really? Well, it congests everything, and you get back pressure in the liver, and you get hemorrhoids. Scott, great call, sir. You keep up the good work.
Okay, we'll see you later.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That is just too cool. Should we take a break before we run to Michael? So, Michael, you hang on there. We're going to do a break. We're going to come right back at you. In the meantime, 338,240 deaths from sugary drinks. Hey, Prescott, don't do sugary drinks. End of sermon. We'll be right back. We're back. We're back. So kudos to Scott doing the right stuff. I don't hear this. Uh-oh. Oh, thank you. So motorcycle, big trouble. Big trouble. 928-541-1016. Thanks for hanging on there, Michael. You are next on Healthline. Thanks for calling.
Oh, awesome. Well, Doctor, thank you for this information. I respect you highly.
You're so kind. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So I'm 65 and healthy. Everything checks out good. Exams, the screening, everything. I ride my mountain bike. Cold turkey, what is your take on the shingles vaccine?
That is boy, we have the best callers. It's a great point. I saw a study years ago that said there are more people that get a side effect from the shingles vaccine than the number of people that get shingles. So
Well,
when that question comes up, because patients will occasionally ask that. First of all, I'll never get a shingles. I'm never going to go there. Thank you very little. Not going to happen to me. That doesn't mean I have all the answers. It doesn't mean I'm king of the mountain. It doesn't mean you do what I do. People have to do what their research and their heart and their prayer tell them to do.
yes,
But here's the question I always toss out to the people that ask me that, and I'll ask you right now: how many people do you know, like in your family or friends, that have had shingles?
oh, none that I can think of.
See, that's the point. It's like somebody says every about July, August, September, it's going to be a bad flu season. You better get a flu shot. So they twist arms, and yeah, sometimes they mean well. Sometimes I think it's crap. But
Uh-huh.
people will ask me about the shingles shot, and I'll say, well, how prevalent is it? Where is it in your family? Where is? And I'm not saying that it's not a serious thing, because you get shingles, it's a lot of pain. The lesions go away, you still have pain. It's like, man, you look at your arm, you look at your chest area, your ribs, and you go, man, I'm hurting like crazy, and I don't even see a reason why. So the lesions can disappear, the symptoms, the irritation on the nerves can be there. It's no fun. But see, A, is the shot safe? B, does it do anything? C, is it worth getting? And that's my take, Michael. That's a really good question, because there's more and more discussion about all these childhood vaccines. See, COVID, as crappy as that was, turned everybody's eyes towards, let's find out what the truth is. And RFK Jr. says, I'm not anti-vaccine, and neither is Hancock. I'm not anti-vaccine, but tell me the truth about this stuff. And that's a foreign topic to a lot of areas in the medical profession, because they don't want you knowing the truth, because it'll set you free to decide. So there you go. That's my take on the shingles shot.
Thank you, doctor. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Thank you, Michael. You call in any old time. So do we do yeah, we're good. You bet. You have a good weekend. So see how that goes? The COVID shot, okay, indulge me here. Mandated a month after Rachel Walensky said it's not working because the variant, the Omicron's like, oh, the shots don't work. Then mandated by Biden. That's probably a Freudian slip. By Biden. And if you didn't get it, you in the military, see you. Navy SEALs, see you. We got to hang up on Michael there. I think he's still active. He's calling. He's gonna tell his doctor he's not going to get the shingles shot. So that's a good call, Michael. So we have. Should we go to Steve? We got time for. Yeah, let's go to Steve. Steve, you're next on Healthline. Thanks for calling.
Dr. Hancock, good morning.
Good morning.
I got a toughie for you.
Go for it.
I'm actually calling on behalf of my friends who are a retired couple here in Prescott Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very well educated. They are very intelligent. They are very internet savvy. And they are at their wits' end with their 30-year-old grandson, who is very intelligent, but also paranoid schizophrenic.
Oh, wow.
These people are on all the chat rooms, both locally and for state and national, parents of paranoids, grandparents of paranoid schizophrenics, Facebook. They're all over social media. The only thing they're lacking is they don't know Dr. Hancock, and I do.
Well, I think you're overinflating the connection there, but that's about as sad as it gets. So I think that there's a time and a place where you just do everything known to be beneficial, like get rid of sugar, coffee, artificial sweeteners. Just do all the thing. Walk, and sometimes you just can't. There are restrictions even with a 30-year-old. But there are certain things that if you do everything right, it may not make a bit of difference, but it could be that it can. I had a friend text me asking about a friend of her granddaughter has a friend that has a form of brain cancer. And
Fine.
she said, I know, right? So what do you do for that? Well, there's a book called, I can't remember it because we're rearranging everything in our clinic because we're getting new carpeting next week. So
Wow.
the book I think is Fighting Cancer or something like that. Anyway, there's a boatload of different natural remedies for cancer. So you just throw the shotgun approach to that and hope that the Lord heals the brain cancer. So in the schizophrenic world, you would think that if you just pull out all the stops and do all the right things, and maybe they already are, they're on the chat rooms, they've probably seen all the recommendations for paranoid schizophrenia. So they may
Yeah.
be totally up to date, but that's again, and it's in the category of there's not like, oh, take this nutrient and everything's fine that I know of. I don't know if any nutrient, but see if they have food allergies, if they have sensitivities, if they have glyphosate exposure, if they have pesticide exposure, if they have if that's part and parcel of a reaction to a vaccine when they were 6 months old or 2 years old. Then there are some things that can be done through NAT, through some of the new and I'm not trying to negotiate for a patient. I've never treated that, so I don't know how the response would be.
Right.
But that's the category. It's do everything known to be good. Primum non nocere, Latin phrase, it means first do no harm. So you do
And
everything you can that's
the
natural
problem,
and see what
yeah.
happens.
The problem is, Dr. Hancock, if tomorrow the FDA came out with a study that says we have determined that chocolate double fudge cake will cure paranoid schizophrenia, he wouldn't eat it because this boy is so paranoid. He thinks that everyone, including his own mother, is trying to poison him.
Oh,
So
bless
I'm
his
asking,
heart.
do you know of any organizations or doctors doing any breakthrough studies or experimental studies that you might even recommend?
You know, I'll keep my eyes and ears open on that one, Steve. The cool thing about the new studying that I'm doing with 5 online courses, some of them weeks, some of them for sure months long. It's not a 1-hour webinar. It's like online courses. So I am always keeping my eyes and ears open anyway, but I'm knee deep in a whole boatload of things that are teaching me amazing things that I get to do on my patients, and it's all under the scope of my practice. It's just that scope is expanding because my brain's getting expanded. So
Right.
I get exposed to things through these courses than anything else. I mean, I'm always looking for the new bigger mousetrap because it's harder to get people well right now. So I'll keep my eyes and ears open, and if anything flops into my lap that makes sense, I'll be talking about it on the air anyway. So if you're a regular listener, if anything pops up, you'll be one of the first to know.
I listen to your show in particular while I'm either gardening, working in the garage, or garage sailing, or all three.
You're a busy guy on a Saturday morning.
Hey, time's a wasting.
There you
Life
go.
is short.
Steve, you hang in there. You have a good weekend. Thanks for your call. Like I say, I'll keep doing my homework.
Thanks so much, Nathan Hancock. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. You take care now. He called 928-541-1016. This is our last break. Oh, how about that? Last break. On the other side, just a couple minutes. You have a question that's burning. We're going to not be here next week. Just a programming note. We're going to be in Minnesota because we have some great kids graduating from high school. Not our kids, it's our niece's kids in Minnesota. So I won't be here. So this is it for a couple weeks. If you have a question, fire away. We'll be right back. We are back. Dr. Hancock here. Last segment and the best callers ever. So Alan called. He has some ideas for Steve. We appreciate that. So Alan, go for it. Help us out here. What do you know about that stuff?
Well, I learned a lot from Dr. Daniel Amen Clinics.
Oh, yeah. I'm real familiar with him.
And for schizophrenia, it's niacinamide.
No kidding. That's
Yep.
as safe as it gets. It doesn't even cause flushing on an empty stomach.
Yeah, and the other thing is related to it, I think, is nicotine.
So you're saying
Yeah.
niacinamide and nicotinamide?
Well, I haven't tried that together. You have to use a nicotine patch. And you know the work of Dr. Artis?
Brian Artis, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's another biggie. And just to bring everybody listening up to speed, the research on COVID says smokers, now I'm not saying smoke, but they did better with COVID than non-smokers. At the same time, typical of the previous administration, they said smokers do bad. You know, it's like, how many people do you want sick, Biden? So, yeah, nicotine patches, nicotine gum, recommended and taken. Brian Artis, Dr. Artis, and his wife both put on a patch every day to help with that. So what you're saying is the patches are recommended and the niacinamide. I want to be clear on that.
Well, I'm not sure. Here the thing is with the brain has, the whole body has nicotine receptors.
Right.
And most doctors just think, oh, no, it causes cancer. Well, smoking causes the cancer. And I forget the chemicals. There's 15 varieties of this chemical that they put in the cigarette that causes the addiction.
On purpose.
Well, Brian Artis has, and I've got so much information from both of these people, including, and I don't have the book right in front of me, Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies.
Yeah.
Extremely important book because
who's the author
research,
on that?
It's research that he's got. It's not just his ideas.
Who's the research? I mean, who's the author on that?
It's Brian Artis.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Because I have a book by
Yeah.
McCullough. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Again, the benefit of COVID is, we weren't told the truth, so now everybody's suspicious, and I think that's good because the people that keep lying, I'm not going to trust them. So we are just flat out of time here, Alan. Thanks so much for that. So maybe call back in a couple of weeks. Again, we're going to be gone next week. But getting the right dosage of the niacinamide, all that stuff, that'd be really helpful. But Dr. Brian Artis, yeah, he's got a lot of good things to say. Anyway, Alan, I got to run. Thank you so much for helping Steve out.
Hey, thank you. Bye.
All right, you take care. Boy, happy Mother's Day, folks. Best audience on the planet. And the people out there are getting ready to come in here. Who are they? Drive Time AZ. They are raring to go. So don't you turn that radio dial. But let's get healthy in a natural way with the Lord's help. God bless y'all. Thanks so much for listening. Be back in a couple weeks, but a good show next week for you. Bye-bye.